Bijbehara. Meanwhile, India on Thursday wrote a letter to Pakistan informing that New Delhi's decision to suspend the Indus Waters Treaty with immediate effect. Now, in its letter, India has accused Pakistan of breaching the conditions of the treaty. Since the April 22nd terror attack in Pahalgam that killed nearly 26 people, tensions between India and Pakistan have increased, with India taking several steps, including suspension of Indus Water Treaty and asking Pakistani citizens to leave the country within 24 hours. The letter read, "The obligation to honor a treaty in good faith is fundamental to a treaty. However, what we have seen instead is sustained cross-border terrorism by Pakistan targeting the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The resulting security uncertainties have directly impeded India's full utilization of its rights under the treaty." The letter also highlighted that Pakistan significantly altered the population demographics, the need to accelerate the development of clean energy and other changes, apart from other breaches committed by it. Pakistan has refused to respond to India's request to enter into negotiations as envisaged under the treaty and is thus in breach of the treaty, the letter further said. Now, on Wednesday, Pakistan responded to India's suspension of the treaty, pointing that any decision to stop the flow of water belonging to Pakistan under the agreement would be considered as an act of war. Well, we are in fact joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, who is former DG Infantry. Sanjay Kulkarni, how do you in fact see suspension? You know, these are the first parts of it. You see the diplomatic offensive going on, but suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, how much of it could have an effect on Pakistan?
Thank you. Varghese, at the very outset, these are all diplomatic measures to put pressure on Pakistan that they are the hub of terrorism. And Pakistan has all along, since 1960, despite the treaty having come in good faith, Pakistan, the better beneficiary of the entire treaty, despite all that and the wars thereafter, this treaty has held good. Notwithstanding all that, Pakistan doesn't seem to have in faith and trust reposing anything that Pakistan has been able to do. Hence, this particular treaty, when it gets revoked or held in abeyance, as what the government has said, leads to a kind of data sharing. Immediately, of course, it would not, because it's a water, and therefore the water will continue to flow the way it is flowing right now. But it involves a lot of data sharing, which allows them and also control of water. Now, if there is no treaty, you find there will be no data sharing. So millions of people in Pakistan who are dependent what time the water comes, what time the flows, how the water will flow, during floods, what would happen, before floods, who would release the water. So this uncertainty causes tremendous amount of problems for the Pakistani there across who are dependent on this water. Now, what is the dependency? Almost 24% of the GDP of Pakistan is dependent on the water which is flowing from as part of the Indus Water Treaty. So almost 78% of the people are dependent, 46% of the agriculture. So the agriculture-based economy, so much dependent on water. Otherwise, any diversion would take years. But notwithstanding that, imagine a water stress, because if subsequently, if India was to abrogate, if not presently held in abeyance, may abrogate the treaty, it would make Pakistan virtually turn into a desert. So that is where the consequences come. It's not easy because obviously the amount of water that there is, it's equivalent of a Terry Dam was to be seen, which has taken about 10 years for us to construct. It can hold just about 1/4 of the water that flows along this part of the Indus Water Treaty. So it's a huge thing. But water sharing, data sharing, release of water, all of it which matters will definitely, I'm sure Pakistanis are going to suffer. And that is why they have started screaming to say these are acts of war. This is a treaty which was signed under the, under the aegis of the World Bank. But since 2016, when the Uri Act took place, India did warn Pakistan that the water which flows from the eastern rivers. Now, the eastern rivers, this entire thing is divided into the eastern rivers and the western rivers. The eastern rivers, the Ravi, Bias, Satluj, are the waters which India is entitled to. And the waters which are Indus, your Chenab, your Jhelum, are the waters of which go entirely to Pakistan. Some of it can be used by India, but almost 80% of the water is consumed and utilized by Pakistan. So it's a huge thing because Pakistan is dependent. Much that they are an upper riparian state and we are supposed to have some international treaties to follow, but that's okay. The run of the mill, the water will still be flowing. But as I said, data sharing is very important. When the water will be released, how the water will be diverted, all of it not known. Floods will come at a wrong time. Water will be stopped at a time when they want it. So it's everything in agrarian economy, which is dependent, as I said, 24% of the GDP is dependent on the waters of the IWT. So it's a very a step, I would say, which hurts Pakistan the most. Much that they may have said, we will abrogate all agreements, even similar agreement. In any case, similar agreement, 93,000 PWs, which are supposed to and all negotiation thereafter were to be a part of your bilateral. Pakistan has never adhered to similar agreement. We have, in turn, except for the Karachi agreement, which said ceasefire, yes, it had been converted into LOC based on the similar agreement. But where has Pakistan adhered to the similar agreement? So their abrogation or suspension or the threat that we will not adhere to it makes no difference whatsoever. So much better if they don't. We will see what it is. That means it gives a free hand to everybody to now maneuver wherever they want to, because the LOC would not hold its, it would not hold at all. And now it's free for anyone to jockey around and capture whichever land there is, because all of it belongs to us. Because as per the 26th of October,
Right.
1947, what you call it, the instrument of accession, all of it is ours. It is Pakistan which is occupying it, and Pakistan which is taking the benefit of all out of it, all because of the magnanimity of India. So that magnanimity now stops.